And with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Gijs Borsboom.
Hey, good morning. Thank you, Frederick.
Sir.
Thank you. Well, actually, it's all true what it says there. So sorry for having to speak to you in English. My Swedish is improving, but definitely not to the level to have a proper communication and conversation with you. I did get some notes actually that Klaas was speaking to about the history of the city. So that was kind of funny. I looked at it as well because I heard of the name Västerås a little while ago, and for me that rang a bell because I was watching the series Game of Thrones, and apparently the name Västerås is based on what happened here. So then looking at Wikipedia and then finding out that Västerås has to do with, let's say, the city of Gherkin. That wasn't something that was so impressive. So I guess the battle with the Danes, I think that's what did it. So there's Danes in the room. So with that history, I'm pretty sure that all the Swedes will have a look when they leave again, that they'll properly leave when the session is done. But a very warm welcome also from my side. It's always a bit strange actually for me as a foreigner to welcome you in your own country. But a great welcome to MCED18. And I must say this is a unique event, the way this is set up with the engagement that we get from you as loyal customers using our technologies. This is truly unique, so we don't see that in other places in the Mitel world. So I'm really proud and happy to be part of this. This is my third experience. First one was in Gothenburg, last year was in Malmö, and now here. So a beautiful place to be. I also like the venue. So this is a very interesting hotel. So kudos to the event organization. It's a beautiful experience. So I'm not sure if that security briefing was about safety, because that took a while. So it's a badass city, but it might also be a very badass hotel. So if we need to evacuate, I think the lady was pointing at the doors where to exit. If I got it right, if I got it wrong and something goes wrong, I'll start crying. Please help me out and guide me to the proper exit. But the view yesterday from the bar was just amazing. So there's a rooftop bar. We had a view over the lake and also a view over the forest. And it was funny, I was talking to Klaas and said, well, this is so beautiful, so amazing. We don't have that. I come from the Netherlands, so it's very flat. We don't have that kind of forest. And Klaas, well, you know, it's just a forest. Like, you treated it like it was your backyard, but for a Dutch guy, it's like a national park. So it's beautiful. I'm really happy to be here. So again, thank you very much. Warm welcome from me. My presentation is about Mitel strategy, what we've been doing in 2017, the way forward, where we want to take you as our customers. And that's all about focus and how we execute on that strategy. And that should lead to growth, not just growth for our organization, but also growth in relevance of our application and what they mean to your business. So 2018 is quite a special year because we celebrate 45 years of Mitel. So 45 years in this industry, that goes back in time quite a bit. And look at all those names. And these are companies that we've acquired over time. We've consolidated those businesses in becoming one Mitel company that we are today. And of course, these acquisitions, they come with a purpose. So it's not just buying companies and okay, we're bigger now. They come with a specific purpose and an objective to create an ecosystem of applications and a portfolio of products and solutions that really address the customer needs, the way you communicate your needs to us, and we hope to have that reflected in what these solutions bring to you. So that's it's a big portfolio of businesses. It's now all under the Mitel brand. So yes, we've been acquiring companies just to grow additional footprint in other markets. One of the most recent one is ShoreTel. That was an acquisition that happened in September last year, 2017, making us very big in the US, balancing the weight of the business globally much better. But we also buy companies in order to have very specific applications, like we do with companies called Blazecast, and what they do is mass notification. And unfortunately, in some markets, like the US, this is a really important application for mass evacuation. Just remember some school shootings. So actually, it's an obligation actually for a university to be able to demonstrate that you have the technology in place for safe evacuation of buildings. But other ones, on a more positive note, is a company like Tiger TMS. They have applications in hospitality, so places like hotels. So with that, we want to build this portfolio being relevant for all global companies and global markets, but also specific vertical markets. So with that, 45 years of Mitel going forward, we claim to power between 2 and 3 billion communications a day with the technologies that we bring to the market. And 2017 has been a year of change. So as said, we've acquired a company called Cord Shortel, and this marketplace is evolving rapidly in the way that customers want to consume certain products. It's not just that they want to buy product, to have it in their hands, and to have it somewhere in the data center, but actually they want to make use of those solutions when they need it, and actually start to pay for that use much more. So this is a shift that we see globally, where what we call typical CapEx investment, capital investments that happened in the past, are moving to more OpEx. So people making use of services and want to pay for that services more subscription-based licenses. So this is a very strong trend that we see globally. The US at this stage is leading the pack, but we see same trends in Europe as well. And I think cloudification, like mobile PBXs, making use of public services, is something that always resonated really well already in Scandinavian markets. So we've been a number one, actually, in Europe. Very proud to be this very strong European footprint. We claim to have the first position in private cloud worldwide. I'll explain a little bit more. We also have terms like UCaaS, UC as a service. So our industry is great in throwing acronyms at you and not explaining what they are. I will do that later on. But we're number 2 worldwide, where unified communication solutions as a service actually are being used by our customers. We are the number 1 in cloud seats worldwide, more than 4 million users using our cloud technology in the world. And also really relevant how we are being regarded by Gartner, industry analysts, plotting us in their magic quadrants for the 4th year in a row. That's unique in our industry. So with those acquisitions that we've done, the footprint that we have, you see that let's say the spread of the business on the global map is that we have 70 million users, so 70 million users of our technologies worldwide, with the majority of that in EMEAs. As you saw, we have a big history in European companies like with Ericsson, but also from France, like IADS and Matra, DTV in Germany, Ascom in Switzerland. So we're very strong European focus on what we do. And of course, the growth of our presence in the US is really important to address these global customers. So we all want to, let's say, bring that together in one sheet. We're really proud to operate in more than 100 countries. So for international customers that need to have access to our services, we can provide that. We are a true indirect company, as you may have seen in the news, or maybe not. We've recently sold off our direct sales unit in Germany. That was a company called DTV. They were actually doing, let's say, the systems integrations for multiple technologies. It was a bit strange because Mitel, in effect, is a manufacturer. We manufacture technology, and with our sales force, we help our business partners for selling and implementing that with our customers. So that was a special unit that's now gone. That was sold to a company called Ostertag. So Mitel, as a company, is a true indirect vendor with more than 4,000 channel partners worldwide. Now those 4.2 million cloud users is a global number. I'm really proud to say that we have more than 1.2 million of those cloud users here in the region. So that is for people in Sweden, Norway, and Finland. So really strong presence, and that's really helping us to create that presence at a pace that we want to have. So 2018, a year of great opportunity for Mitel. This industry is changing rapidly. and we need to change accordingly, because otherwise we can't lose the connection with that innovation. So in 2010, so we've become a public company. So Mitel went public to the stock exchange, and this is really important to collect capital that you need to invest in innovating in new technologies, but also acquiring companies. And we've done so. We have this really important critical mass of 70 million users worldwide. And now it's time actually to pick up the pace. We need to execute on the strategy on allowing people to move into the cloud. And this is not something that the financial markets always understand really well. They were used to, okay, well, this is a company. They build big projects. That's a lot of capital investment upfront. And this is now moving into a subscription-based business, so more OpEx-like. In order to drive that and not having the burden of these financial markets, Mitel will work with a partner called Searchlight, and will be off the stock exchange, and that allows us actually to speed up our process in the transformation in the company that we want to become and that we will become. So you will see more of that going forward. That is likely to happen in the third quarter of the year. It's really something to look forward to for us. So every customer will move to some sort of cloud. We are absolutely positive that this is happening, and it's something we can't deny. Even young kids are making use of cloud applications nowadays, and I think everybody in the room with their smartphone will check their emails. Sometimes there will be some sort of a data storage function that you're using or something else. We can't deny this is happening, and we also see that the same thing, business processes, business applications are moving into the cloud. But the thing is, you decide for your company when this needs to happen, and also you want to decide for your company what part of your business you can actually move safely into the cloud. And that's something that is really important for us to support. So you will hear Mitel talk a lot about cloud and cloudification, and this is to offer you that road to the cloud. It's not that we're forcing you there, and I think that's a very important message. So this is where we want to expand those cloud services to all customers. And as you could see in the slide with all the businesses that are part of Mitel, that is a very rich portfolio. So it's our obligation to offer the customers of those technologies to move into the cloud at their pace. And we will use technologies like UCaaS, which is a public cloud service that you as a user can consume from a service provider. Another example is what we call private cloud, and this is for companies that will make use of the communication technology in their data center. It could be one data center on one site, could also be one data center supporting multiple sites. And this is what we see happening more and more. It could be one data center where actively solutions are being used, and data recovery centers. So that's all about private cloud and UC as a service. In the end, it is really relevant that all these communication devices and applications allow you to integrate and support your route to digital transformation, where you perhaps want to deploy IoT, Internet of Things applications, which is a massive dynamic in our market. What you want to do with mobility or software as a service integration. So this is our goal. This is our strategy. We need to take care that everything that we do is cloud enabled, to make it available for you, to allow you to go into the cloud at your pace. And this is where we see, let's say, companies actually choosing for private cloud or public cloud services. And some of them actually have a very interesting mix, where they see the opportunity for their own data center environment, but having this flexible layer on top of it to make use of cloud services to adjust to their changing company needs. So over the last 3.5 years, we've invested more than $4.5 million that's in R&D, so research and development. That's not in mergers and acquisitions. And that's a high investment, and we have the ambition to do so even more. So we see opportunity in the way we work, the way we operate, to actually remove, let's say, redundant costs to allow us to invest even more in what we need to do to drive innovation. So hopefully you'll see the results of that really quickly. And just to give you that level of comfort, because maybe our messaging over-rotates sometimes, so we say, okay, it's all about the cloud. Yes. innovation, the future, definitely is about the cloud. But rest assured, we will never leave the buildings. And by saying that means that if you have your appliance, the technology that you're using today and you still want to use next year or 5 years later, we'll absolutely still invest in that technology to keep it up to date and to grow with you as your business changes. And our task is that in this changing environment, and it goes for both Mitel as well for yourselves, that we should change the tires while the truck is moving. So Mitel will do that. So we will, of course, migrate and allow migration for customers, again, at their pace. But if you have an organization, and just to use the metaphor of types of terrain that you could enter to, if you have this truck and you have to go through the mountains, then maybe you want to have these terrain wheels. So we need to make sure that those terrain wheels fit your organization. If you're on a track and you have to go through the curves with a lot of traction, then you want to have the super softs under your truck. And the thing is, we need to support you in making those changes, because we can't say to your business, well, you need to go through this pit stop and you have to be there for a certain amount of time. Actually, you don't allow us to hold your business up. So this is what's happening. So we need to change the tires while the truck is moving. That's a nice American metaphor. And it's not something that we think is necessary. I think looking outside in what's happening in the world, we see a lot of proof why this is so important for us to be able to support that changing business environment. And this is an interesting dynamic. So we're looking at certain technologies and what cloud technology has done actually to accelerate the amount of users on certain technologies. So this is the time it takes or has taken for these technologies to gain 50 million users. So on the top left, it took the airline industry almost 70 years to reach 50 million users. Automobiles, 62 years. Telephony, electricity, 50 years, 46 years. And that came with a lot of investment in a lot of hardware and a lot of proprietary, let's say, production sites, like for airplanes or the car industry. So car manufacturing plants, massively big, very, very expensive. The same goes for networks, for telephony and electricity. A huge investment. Now that's all done. So that's all in place. You see that new applications and new technology, they benefit from the fact that hardware in our industries is becoming more and more generic. Industry standard servers is what we use. We don't have these big proprietary mainframes anymore. We can use standard PCs, standard screens, and nothing proprietary in that sense as well. Our applications are now becoming available on our smart devices. And it's interesting to see that the last physical device in this list was the iPod. Took the iPod 4 years actually to get to 50 million users. Nowadays, who needs an iPod? So you run your music using Spotify, whatever. It runs on your smartphone. So all these applications, they are really speeding up that acceleration. So Pokemon Go, that's a crazy example. Just 90 days, that went viral massively. Just 90 days to reach 50 million users. So this is an opportunity, and this is the challenge. So this is, I think, what we all face. It's funny to see, actually, so close to where I live, they have hidden some really unique Pokemons, apparently. So we have floods of people coming to the place just to collect these Pokemons. And the local shops, they thought, well, that's great, because there's a lot of customers and we can sell stuff. But they didn't sell anything, so they just came there because typically it was youngsters, some old guys as well, in their well, like my age, still playful people perhaps, also collecting these Pokemons and just lose their rubbish and litter and then went home. But amazing how fast that all went. So speed is anything. Speed and the ability to adapt to this changing environment. And if you're a Fortune 500 company, I think, well, you're too big to fail. I think that's a term we've heard before. We've heard banks saying, okay, we're too big to fail. But definitely that's not the case. So 52% of all the Fortune 500 companies have gone since 2000 because they weren't able actually to pick up the speed and adapt to the changing environment. So they were out-innovated. They couldn't simplify. And below there's a couple of dynamics, I think, that we all understand. This is driving that change. More than 1 billion people in social networks. The exchange of information, not within the company, but also externally, goes so much quicker. It's a matter of seconds. It's not a matter of sending a letter or meeting someone at a business event. It's now. The way this business model is disruptive. New companies popping up just like that, becoming really big. Companies like Uber or Airbnb, they don't have a product. The only thing that they do is they connect a service to the consumer of that service. They don't have any assets. Uber don't have taxis. Airbnb don't have hotels. The only thing is they bring people together. So with more than, well, and then that's an estimate. So those numbers will vary big time. With the Internet of Things, in 2020, scientists believe that there will be more than 30 billion devices connected in the internet, creating an intelligent universe. So that's all about sensors. Could be a sensor in your phone, could be a sensor in your fridge back home, could be anything. So creating new opportunities for applications to be built and support us in our daily life. So what we've seen is that the availability of information and productivity tools, that has changed dramatically. The same thing with all those business applications now becoming available on portable devices. So in the past, it was more the knowledge worker, the people in the office, so the suits, as we call them. About 20% of the workforce, they would have access to a PC, to information, to applications. And so it was very much PC-centric. Now, with cloudification and application becoming available on these mobile devices, that took a dramatic shift to the right. So including the information workers, the people in uniforms, to the service workers, what we call the boots. They have that device. They have it for their personal use, but they also have it for their business use. So now productivity and innovation is moving to that direction, covering the entire workforce at a huge pace. And just look at the, let's say, the multiple, whereas an annual sales of PC devices like 300 million, mobile devices, 1.5 billion per annum, a multiple of 5. So it's a huge exponential growth of how we can have business applications supporting everybody that works in our companies. And this is how real-time communication has evolved over time. So we just actually decided to shift that circle a bit to the right. And this is how infrastructures have changed, like in our world, TDM infrastructures, they're gone. It's all moving to IP. So maybe you recall the days where you could have a leased line between two sites that was massively expensive. That's definitely not the case anymore. So you just get access to an IP network and you can connect to your colleagues wherever they are in the world. So that's moving at a really high pace. So it's driving the cost down, and it's also driving users to make use of a service when they need it. It doesn't have to be there all the time. It just needs to be there when I need it. It moves from an execution model where in the past it was really hardware-centric. So you would have to go to this terminal on this mainframe computer to get access to that information. That is now moving away. So you will use probably your business applications on your smartphone today. If that moves to preemptive and contextual phases in the far right of the graph, it actually means that if I'm shopping and if I have an Internet of Things enabled fridge, actually my GPS information could tell the fridge, you know what, I'm close to the supermarket, so why not give Gijs a little note? You know, you're low on orange juice, take some orange juice with you. It only makes sense when I'm there. It doesn't make sense when I'm in the office. Then it makes sense for my boss to send me, okay, I need your update now. So contextually and preemptive, depending on where you are and what you are doing, that is the future. And then on the top of this graph, you will see that the experience is that we don't want to own this technology anymore. We want to use it, and we're fine just for paying when we need it. That whole trend has had quite an impact on the competitive landscape. So this is what the industry was like in the 2000s. And all those names, a lot of those names, they've gone. They've become part of something bigger, or they disappeared entirely. But this is what kind of remains from the ones on the left. And of course, there's new entries. Companies like Microsoft, Fuse, Amazon. And they will have an impact on services that will become available. So that's very interesting and good for us to understand. So this is what we see if we translate that to our traditional business. Whereas on the right, you will see that's the rolling year on year. That's the on-site, the worldwide voice market. And this demonstrates that the traditional deployments of this technology is dropping between 5 to 6% per annum. And that base is really big, and it's not disappearing, but it's moving, transforming to something else. And that is the worldwide UCaaS, or UC as a service market, to the left. That's growing between 16 and 18% per annum. So that base to the right, much bigger. That base to the left, a bit smaller now, but growing rapidly. So we'll reach that tipping point very quickly. So important for us to be regarded by the likes of Gartner, a very respected industry analyst, to see that we're leaders in sections, we're visionaries in others, we're challengers, again, in others. Important for us because it's kind of an acknowledgement that Gartner sees us, and they plot this graph where it says completeness of vision. So do they believe that we have our act together? Do we have a strategy that fits future customer needs? And on the vertical axis is our ability to execute. So can we actually make this work? Can we put this in place? So it's important to be there. So this is forward-looking. Backward-looking, also, I think, really good to see that Frost & Sullivan, again, a respected industry analyst, awarded us in 2017 with the Growth Excellence Award on Unified Communication, where we've outpaced the likes of Cisco and Microsoft. So, good achievement. Now, how are we doing this? I just mentioned the why, and now how. So, how is this taking place? This is the way we roughly differentiate let's say the types of cloud deployments. Whereas to the left, it's private cloud. That is the stuff that you own, that you put in your data centers. You can put a Chinese wall around it, so nobody gets access to it. So this is where you don't share any infrastructure. You own the data center. You don't allow anybody access to it. To the far right is a very cost-effective flavor of a cloud service or a cloud network. And this is where you share infrastructures. Of course, security is still really important, but it's another way of, I'd say, of building that security in. So that are cloud services that are available today with the likes of Amazon Web Services. You have Microsoft Azure and others. Again, that doesn't necessarily have to be perfect for your business. So maybe important for you is a hybrid mode, where you still have all the benefits and the relevances of your private cloud deployments, but you also want to make use of the flexibility of public cloud deployments. And this is where hybrid cloud can come into play. And actually, Mitel can support all these strategies, all these scenarios. So depending on what is relevant for you, you can choose for one or a mix. And this is roughly how we segment that into, let's say, customer segments ranging from small to medium to large, and where on the vertical axis you have on-site applications or cloud applications or pure cloud like UC as a service. This is where we see that for on-site, for the very small, sometimes just a local appliance is a perfect solution. We'll keep it there. If you're bigger, if you want to use the technology out of your own data centers, you can deploy a private cloud environment, whatever you like. Or you can choose to go UC as a service, and we see that taking off really, really big. So if we translate that into technologies or products, so I guess then these are the type of products that you're familiar with. It's either the MyVoice 400 or it's the MyVoice Business that runs in EMEA. Of course, MyVoice MX1 and MyVoice Business, quite often deployed in a private cloud environment. The top two on UCaaS, UC as a service, maybe not that familiar yet for us in the EMEA markets, but definitely happening in the US. For the US, but what we see, and we pride ourselves in MyCloud Telepo for service providers, technology actually also coming from Sweden, made available for our markets in EMEA and Asia Pacific, a pure UCaaS offering. So we claim to do this with the industry-leading portfolio. So here are the solutions that we have. These are the global platforms. Again, this is the on-site solution. So this is what's in the building. With the MyForce 400, the MyForce Business, and the MyForce MX1, we have other call managers. Some of them are more like local solutions that resonate really well. Like we have the MyForce 5000, which is extremely strong in France. It has French origin, so therefore really resonates well. These are the three major global platforms that we support. On top of that comes the applications like My Contact Center Business and My Contact Center Enterprise, also known as Solidus eCare. So those can be used in a cloud deployment like you do for private clouds. These can be virtualized machines. It doesn't need to be the physical appliance anymore. It can run on an industry software, a standard server, somewhere in your network, somewhere in your data center. And that goes for all these three major platforms, the MyForce 400, MyForce Business, and the MX1. So how are we taking everybody to the cloud? It's quite a challenge. It's not a trivial one. So with all these applications, with all these call managers, this was the challenge that we were facing. We had to simplify the application portfolio. We needed to support all the applications on all our call managers. We had to consolidate more than 52 applications in 4 major streams like customer experience, collaboration, call control. So we had to enable that with a technology I'll talk more about. Technology we call CloudLink, that's the enabling technology. And we need to build a platform because in the end we want to open up the communication technology to work well with other business applications. And we don't dictate what they are. You should tell us actually what you need, and you should have the opportunity to integrate that relevant business application that you're using into our communication solution. So this is what we do with CloudLink, a name you will hear many times today and the days to come, but also if you look at Mitel Communication, a technology that was used in order to address this challenge. This was the, let's say, the traditional way how communication solutions were built. Very proprietary, so you would have a call manager, and these are the ones that we have. And you would have a stack of applications for each individual call manager, requiring a lot of R&D work because it was just tied to that specific platform. So for instance, for the MyForce 250, you would have a collaboration solution that wouldn't work with the MyForce Office 400 or the MX1. We would have a contact center application for every single of these platforms that would only work with that specific call manager technology. So not very cost effective. So just imagine what it takes actually to create some sort of a contact center solution for these call managers. So let's say 10 million for each call manager. So you would do it 6 times. So that's a cost of 60 million in total. But for the call manager that you are using, it only represents 10 million of investment. So by changing this model in what we do with CloudLink, this allows us to do the innovation in applications and solutions all at once. So it means that we will tie through CloudLink all these call managers to the new applications supported by CloudLink. So this is the way it works. It's like 3 major components. CloudLink provides a gateway. That's the CloudLink gateway that connects to your call manager. And in some instances, it could be a physical device. So if the platform doesn't have enough computing power actually to have it as a software component, it could be a physical component. That ties into the CloudLink platform. That's a cloud service that's based on Amazon Web Services, using microservices and API integration, application programming interface integrations. That bridges the application to the right. So that allows you to integrate those applications through CloudLink to the call manager to the left. So in a bit more detail, CloudLink Gateway, so that goes into that call manager, so that goes into your MX1 or your A400. It could also go into a cloud platform. That could be what we call Mitel Flex or Mitel Connect, but also to Telepo. So that also goes into every cloud flavor that we have with our technology. So that ties into the CloudLink platform with the cloud APIs. And the cloud APIs actually allow you to manage your communication environment for services like voice or SMS or directory services or else. And it also allows you to do the integration with either bespoke applications or out-of-the-box applications. So it allows you access to a wealth of applications that are relevant to you. Now with that, you can give IoT a voice. We gave an example when we had a customer event in Munich a couple of weeks ago, where we had a natural speech integration where again, a refrigerator was malfunctioning, and actually it could have this chat interaction with a service guy. So he could actually ask and interrogate that fridge what was going on, and that could be fed back then in the support organization for people to have a voice communication about that subject. So that's an interesting application. Zero code means that using Amazon Web Services, you can use microservices within that framework, and these are functional pieces of software that you can use actually as building blocks, where you can really quickly and very cost effectively create applications. Whereas in the past, you had to build it from the ground. That took a lot of time and a high investment. With that technology, that's not required anymore. So it allows you a lot of speed and a much lower cost of application building. And application building allows you to create vertical applications. So that is definitely stuff that we will do. So Mitel will develop applications that we think are relevant for certain vertical markets. But it also allows you actually. So if you have people that have an understanding how to build this application and it really needs to be tailored to your organization, you can start doing so. It also allows third-party application builders to do it for us and bring those applications in the Mitel App Store or on the Play Store or iTunes and make that available for other customers. So with that, we are able to support all these call managers that you see in the bottom. That's all the names. Using those microservices and the APIs, we can actually tie the applications on the developer ecosystem to our call manager solutions at the bottom in a very efficient way. So it's already launched. So we have our first deployments in the US. So that will soon travel to the other technologies in other markets, and it allows us. For instance, I gave the example of a contact center investment that we needed to do. Having it to do it for one single call manager is not so cost effective. If we can actually have all the investment R&D made for one application available for all these call managers, you can imagine that it really speeds up that innovation process that's so relevant to us. So with that, we claim to have a fantastic and appealing portfolio in our industry. We claim it's definitely the best looking at what it does for vertical markets and different customer segments. CloudLink technology allows you to use your existing technology and connect that to future applications or your current applications. And last but not least, we are creating the opportunity to give machine a voice. So actually use the IoT technology to be used in your business applications. And just to give that confirmation again, we talk a lot about cloud. We talk about cloud all the time, but we are not leaving the building. So the technology that you cherish, if it's important for you to have it, as said, within your data center, in your technical rooms, that is technology that we will support ongoingly. There's a lot of investment dollars that goes into updating and maintaining that technology and keeping it future-proof, but we also allows you to make use of this cloud technology going forward. Last point on the agenda for me, maybe let's say a sudden change to something else, but GDPR, it's only 3 days away from us before it really puts into action. The General Data Protection Regulation, very important. This is stuff that we have to do as an industry, but I can imagine that you also have to do it for your businesses. GDPR becoming mandatory to be supported on the May the 25th. And it's all about compliance. So we've been going through this, and that may be a question you might have had up your sleeve. So maybe it's answered by what I'm telling you now. So this is the assessment that we've done for all our products in the portfolio, and it's an ongoing process. This is not a one-off event. This is something that needs to be supported now and going forward till the end of times, until somebody decides it's not necessary anymore. But for now, it is really critical. So it's It's well maintained by our product people when it comes down to keeping that information secured when it comes to products and solutions. We'll provide updates through the release notes that we'll make available on our Mitel portal. And as said, it's not something that is done on the 25th of May, but is likely never to be finalized. Just a little movie on that.
The security and privacy of your personal data is very important to us at Mitel. As a leading business communications and collaborations vendor, we take care to conduct our business in compliance with laws on privacy, data protection and data security. We are committed to protecting the sensitive data of our customers, and that includes compliance with the GDPR in the European Union. GDPR, or the General Data Protection Regulation, is the EU legal framework focusing on data privacy and protection of personal data. It affects all companies handling data about EU citizens. As a company, Mitel acts as both a data controller and a data processor. To date, we've taken important steps to revise our own business practices, as well as to ensure our third-party suppliers are also GDPR compliant. Key updates were made to our privacy policy, internal security processes, and intercompany agreements, along with the development of data protection addendums for GDPR Article 28. Our updated privacy policy and FAQs, which you can find on our GDPR page on mitel.com, explain how we collect the personal data, how that personal data is used, how it's stored, and how long it is kept for. The policy also outlines your rights with respect to personal data and how we protect it. On the webpage, you can also find out what safeguards are in place within the Mitel products and solutions you have deployed in your IT system. The introduction of GDPR and compliance efforts across the industry are a meaningful step in ensuring your personal data is kept safe. If, after reading through the materials on mitel.com, you still have questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to get in touch. We're here to help. Thank you.
Okay, so on GDPR, we've taken action. I guess you've done the same. I'm pretty sure about it, but it's something that needs to happen by the end of the week. It's all formalized. Our staff has been trained. I guess you do the same for yours, and perhaps also the customers, that they understand where their customer data has been stored and how can they get access to it. And our suggestion is to create a roadmap based on a good gap analysis. So with that, my final words. Mitel is focused. We are executing a strategy, and I hope you understand and support the strategy. It's all about supporting you and your customer needs, taking you to the future at your pace. Again, we have the strategy that in our eyes fit best and serves the portfolio that we have that allows you to be taken to the cloud again when you feel the need to do so. That's me done. Thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you these days. Thank you.